We are currently exploring normalizing relations with Syria's new government, as you know, beginning with my meeting with President Ahmad al-Sharaa. I am also ordering the cessation of sanctions against Syria to give them a fresh start.
We're going to have to take it day by day with the new president. We talked to him about relationships with Israel, within the Middle East, in election. What does he see as his vision for Syria, which he talked a lot about commerce and trade and tourism. So I think there's a great opportunity. He's talking to the right people and he's saying the right things, but obviously his actions are going to speak louder than words at the end of the day.
Sharaa was born in Saudi Arabia from a family from the Golan. He grew up in Damascus, thinks of himself as Syrian. He had started by joining al-Qaeda in Iraq. He was arrested by the United States military forces and was imprisoned for many years in Abu Ghraib and other detention sites. He was released. He went back to Syria and set up a group that became known as the Nusra Front. This had flirtations with the Islamic State, but in fact he was part of the al-Qaeda affiliate in Syria. He set up a dominion for himself in northwestern Syria during the Syrian civil war. Eventually, the Nusra Front and al-Qaeda parted ways. In mid-2024, Recep Erdogan, the president of Turkey, wanted Assad to give him some concessions that would ease the refugee burden that Turkey was under. When Assad refused what Erdogan wanted to talk about, Sharaa and others came to them with a plan to carry out a limited military offensive against Assad's forces. And so this limited effort picked up momentum and led Sharaa eventually to taking over Damascus within a matter of weeks. When he came in as president, he began immediately to say all the right things. Publicly, he has talked about peace with neighbors, saying Syria needs to focus on rebuilding itself. This actually has gotten him a degree of support within Syria.
نؤكد أن سوريا تلتزم بتعزيز المناخ الاستثماري وتطوير التشريعات الاقتصادية وتقديم التسهيلات الكفيلة بتمكين رأس المال الوطني والأجنبي من الإسهام الفاعل في إعادة الإعمار والتنمية الشاملة. ونرحب بجميع المستثمرين من أبناء الوطن في الداخل والخارج ومن الأشقاء العرب والأتراك والأصدقاء حول العالم، وندعوهم للاستفادة من الفرص المتاحة في مختلف القطاعات.
It seems clear at this point that Trump decided to lift sanctions partly because of the influence of Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, Turkish President Recep Erdogan, and he is doing it because they are advising him this is the way to lead Syria back to a positive relationship with the United States, other Western countries, and the Arab world. If Sharaa had not gotten sanctions lifted, it would be very difficult for him to keep the support of the Syrian people that he's enjoyed so far. But one of the problems Sharaa has is that many of the people who brought him into power are what the outside world considers foreign fighters, who are dedicated to the ideological cause of al-Qaeda and similar terrorist groups. And it will be part of the test of his seriousness. President Trump has already made this clear, that the foreign fighters need to be moved out of positions of influence in the new Syrian government. The question now is truly whether he can make the transition that very few terrorist leaders have ever made in history and actually become a pragmatic leader of a state that needs to rebuild itself after more than a decade of a totally devastating civil war.